If you ever need a ride or a threesome, here's my card.
Jesus, that's a lot of people hiding in bushes.
Welcome to Unethical Podcast.
At just 12, these two girls nearly took another classmate's life. Last May, they boarded
A fellow passenger on a Greyhound bus may suddenly walk the streets of Winnipeg unsupervised, and the decision is causing concern. Kids with a schizophrenia getting found not criminally responsible.
before being exonerated in 1993.
That was so good.
We're president accounted for. I took in the subtle suggestion from Bo that we need to hurry up.
Huh?
So, because you have to get up super early in the morning. I picked up on that.
Oh, no, it wasn't a subtle suggestion at all. I was just
It was a blatant suggestion, actually.
No, it's just me telling you guys what's going on in my life. I was going to tell you about my niece's birthday today. She turned 1, and then Chandler spent the time with us because he was accidentally there. He was walking past. We haven't seen him in ages. He'd never met Quinn. So, and then he ended up coming and staying. We had the best time. My brothers and sisters and I had the best time.
You had a birthday party for a 1-year-old?
Yeah, just at the park with all the nieces and nephews. We get her a big cake that she could smash her face into and
Did she?
put a can.
Fun.
She sure did. And crawled through it.
I was going to ask why Chandler just shows up at a house, but it's at a park.
Oh,
so that
park.
makes more sense.
Yeah. No, it was a park.
I was just in your neighborhood. What?
See, that one I did have to explain. I
Yeah,
didn't
no.
make context clear enough on
No,
that one.
was
No, I
I'm
understood.
just-
No, right away. I figured.
Good job,
No, not
Celeste.
you.
I didn't. Okay. Well,
Chandler is a good dude. For anybody who doesn't pay attention to the notes, Chandler is in fact the young man who created our absolutely fucking masterpiece full intro music, and also used to have relations with Bo's daughter.
Mm.
did you just make a barfing sound?
No, I think she
No.
burped.
Yeah, I bet because it kind of I
I was polite. I didn't say
I
fuck
still
her or
wouldn't have-
nothing.
I wouldn't have put it any of those ways. I would have just said went out. I don't know, live together. It just wouldn't have been the dice I rolled. It's fine.
Okay, it wasn't relations. It was one relation, a relationship, singular.
That's the worst thing about having kids growing older and doing those sort of things. Like when we've like talked about Erin and the first time that she was having sex, all I could think about is like, I know the horrible, disgusting things I do to your mother, you know? And it's just like, it's hard. Like, I'm just looking at someone's doing that to my little girl. I don't know how I feel.
The things you're doing, probably.
I was
not,
just
let's
about
be
to say, if
honest.
you're
Yeah.
gonna set yourself as like the
The
bar
base,
here,
yeah, that's
you're being very unrealistic.
Yeah, well,
it was tender, and they looked at each other's eye. It was nice. What you're doing is not nice. Christy barely walks after. It's
I can't even argue. Like,
Christy's at the hospital because she has a headache. Sure. What do you guys call it? Front bum? What do you guys call that? Ache. What's an
What?
Australian word for vagina? I forget. You guys had a funny one.
Oh, front bum.
Yeah.
We got heaps of funny ones. Ham wallet, whispering eye, beef
Whispering eye? Why a whispering? What's disgusting in so many levels? It watches and whispers at you.
Gateway to her guts.
curtains.
Just so everybody knows, if we're keeping this in, because I don't know if this is going to make the cut, but Bo is putting her face really close to her microphone, doing like a sound like that for whispering eye, which
Yeah.
not only turns me on, but also disgusts me. I'm in the middle somewhere. I don't know what's going on here.
Welcome to my world.
I missed that she was doing that entirely, so I'm really glad that you put in that, like, you know,
Oh,
handy capable narration for the blind there.
all those who aren't on Patreon.
Okay, I want to go back to bed, so we should probably get rolling on this. Hopefully my voice
Okay.
has improved a little bit. Do I sound a little better than I did 10 minutes ago?
You sound great.
Thank you.
Your eyes
You're
are a little
lying.
bloodshot.
How can you tell?
I can't, but I know you're worried about it.
The videos don't really go on Patreon. It's just unsettling. They're very red.
Oh, I can't tell.
I don't partake in the devil's lettuce, so this is not a usual way I exist. I don't know why I always have to pre-explain all of my episodes, but guess what? This one sucks. It's not funny.
Oh.
Not fun. Just
Good.
plain old sucks.
Oh, great. I'm
Cool.
sure me and Bo can change that around. Come on. Just because you can't find humor in dog murder doesn't mean I can't.
However,
Dog murder. How dare you?
I'm just guessing.
however, there's no dogs that get murdered.
See?
However, I am aware that this one sucks, and so we get to start with a little bit of feel good kind of tale to kind of lube us up for the carnage that's coming. Okay?
Carnage. Good
So,
word.
okay. Coming up on midnight, January 6, 1982, a passenger aboard a United Airlines flight from Denver bound for San Francisco was absent-mindedly staring into the black abyss of the Colorado Rockies when he saw a faint flashing of lights thousands of feet below. There were 3 long flashes, 3 short flashes, and who can guess what happened next?
3 long ones.
It spells tit.
S-O-S.
Oh,
Tits.
S-O-S.
Point for
Sorry.
Richard on that one. It was, in fact, SOS.
Although that would be funny, like a fuck up. Like if you're trying to, Morse code someone, but you didn't know the real letters and you did tit. That'd be amazing. It's like, oh, those guys, just someone flying over, like, oh, they're being funny with the tits.
They're funny.
They
Yeah, they're
just wanna be
spelling out tits.
They're
Okay,
dying.
so that would be 1 long, 2 short, 1 long. So very similar, actually.
That is actually very
Yeah.
similar. You can fuck that up
Yeah.
easy. You could be sending
Yeah.
tits out. How many people have died writing tit in Morse code? Because they thought it was
Send
SOS.
nudes. Beep, 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 beep. Nice.
Send nudes.
Oh,
Okay,
incredible.
good. Excellent. So SOS spelt out. Got it.
If it was any other passenger on that plane, it's unlikely they even would have noticed that there was a pattern at all. But not only did Harold E. Bray notice the pattern, but as sheriff of Jefferson County, he also knew that the lights were signaling SOS. What a stroke of luck.
Do you guys think, like, if you saw that, like, SOS flashing, would you even put that together? Would you be like, oh, weird flashing lights? Like, I don't think I'd put that together. I think I'd just be like, just
No,
a
I
guy
would.
flashing lights. You would,
No, I
yeah?
would. Yeah.
Okay.
But also, like, there's a lot of bush, right? So
Huge bush.
yeah, there's a lot of bush.
There's no
Like-
bushes where I'm from.
No,
There's no bushes where
Yeah.
I'm from.
no, you got woods, don't you?
I'm just joking. I'm just, I live in the woods too. Like, that doesn't change my, like, idiocy.
Really? It's just kind of something I think most people know, to be honest. It's weird. Maybe it's just like that's like we've got you've got all your stuff that fix your car. You got a flare gun and you know how to read an SOS signal. I don't know. It felt like something that just everybody learnt when they were
I have
growing
none
up.
of those skills. I need to be Australian for a month or something. I have like 0 flare gun, 0 car repair skills, and 0 SOS recognition skills.
Anything else though, I don't reckon I would. Like if I saw, like I'd know it was Morse code, but that like it had. Well, I suppose that's why they make it 3 letters and make it on repeat. Because if there was like one change of that pattern, I'd be out. I wouldn't know. I'm like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know. It's just flashing.
We
randomly.
are starving. Come bring us food and water. We
I'm
are
like,
starving.
I have no idea what that person's saying. I'm sure it's Morse code. I should probably go tell someone something.
Well, I'm glad that this chief of, or was it a police officer, chief
Sheriff.
of police, sheriff? I'm glad this guy is like paying attention to that stuff.
I was until Celeste said, "How lucky." Or what a stroke of luck.
We've done this for so long. Everything's a twist. We're like, there's a twist coming. We're like 2 minutes in. There's a
I can
twist.
feel a twist coming because
Is
it
this
was very,
Celeste or M. Night Shyamalan? Quit giving us twists.
there wasn't lights all along. It wasn't even a plane they were on.
There was a gremlin on the plane.
Yeah.
And the plane crashed, but they were still on planet Earth the whole time.
And it was the word tit. It was wrong. They got it wrong.
Yeah. He wasn't even in danger. He was just showing his tits. Like, oops, I thought that was tit.
He was sending nudes, is what I said.
Yeah, well, like I said, I was feeling very comfortable that, like, until she said what a stroke of luck, and then I feel it in me waters that something's coming.
Sheriff Bray didn't hesitate to inform the pilot, and a call was put into the FAA,
Yeah, I
who
bet he
dispatched
didn't.
2 planes to.
Sorry, no, I bet he didn't, because he was whatever scumbag.
She's still on the
these
twist
scumbags
angle. She's
are.
still on the twist angle.
Sorry.
Who's the antagonist in this twist that you're putting together in your head? The sheriff?
Yeah.
What's he trying to do? Is trying to lead the plane to the mountain, you think?
For
Well,
tits.
no, I didn't get that far. I just
So just highly suspicious sheriff.
I'm still just yeah, I don't know.
I don't
where
know
he's
about
in-
Harold Bray. There's just
yeah,
something.
I don't know about him.
Who just recognizes an SOS signal from thousands of feet in the sky.
I would have been totally team sheriff if you hadn't have said what a stroke of luck. The irony of what you were saying just has thrown me for a 6.
Okay, let's consider that this is thousands of feet in the air overlooking the Colorado Rockies. And not only does somebody spot this flashing light from the airplane, this is coming from the summit of a mountain, by the way. It's not like this is just somewhere people are around. Okay? Not only did somebody see the lights, but recognize that it was an SOS. Would you or would you not call that a stroke of luck?
You're
Well,
one magnifying glass away from private detective with that face. That is like
All right. I would probably call that a stroke of luck, but it sounded like you said it with sarcasm. And I'm
Not sarcastic. In fact, very unlikely, very lucky. Okay?
Okay, I'm back on board. We're not hating on the sheriff. I thought it was sarcasm, read the room wrong. I apologize.
No, I like that cynicism. I like the suspicion. Keep it up. You're making things
Like,
interesting for me.
fuck this sheriff guy. He's the bad guy. He's the antagonist in this situation. Stroke of luck, Sheriff Willie, or whatever the fuck his name was. Harold.
Harry.
So Bray lets the pilot know. The pilot contacts the FAA. The FAA dispatches 2 planes to fly over the area to see if they can locate these lights. The lights were spotted again by one of said pilots, a man named Mike Wilcox, who sent the coordinates back to the FAA to forward the. It wasn't even like Cox. It was just Wilcox. That gets a chuckle? Even that? Doesn't take much, does it?
I'm Richard Wilcox.
Give this man a medal.
I will not. In fact.
I promise this won't devolve into Pun City like it did the other day. I promise.
I'm not going to promise anything.
There's not that many names in this. So, also get it out now. Like I said, it's going to suck real soon. So,
Oh, man. Okay.
the coordinates are sent back to the FAA, who forwards them to the Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office. On the ground, there were whiteout conditions with wind and falling snow, and the temperature was sitting at minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 28 degrees for the rest of us.
What's whiteout?
White. Oh, yeah. I guess you wouldn't really understand what that is. Anytime snow is falling heavily and you add wind to that, it creates essentially a completely white wall that you can't see.
Oh, really?
That is
Oh
a
yeah.
fact. Yeah.
You can see maybe like 10 feet ahead of you, maybe if you're good. If you're after
Yeah.
that, it's
Unless
blindness.
you're driving. If you're driving, you can't see shit because
Yeah.
you're going too fast.
Wow. Okay, cool. No context, so I have no idea what a white wall is. I thought the only time I'd heard that is in a surfing reference.
Not that kind of whiteout. Different whiteout. Also not the kind you fix mistakes with. Kind you make mistakes with.
Okay, thank you.
The temperature is sitting at minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 28 degrees Celsius. Okay. So that is pretty cold. Now that doesn't factor in the wind chill. Also keep in mind. So it's extremely cold. Local Fire Chief Dave Montoya was the first to volunteer to drive up the Guanella Pass, which spanned about 2 miles or 3.5 kilometers, to rescue what they assume is a stranded motorist. The lights, there's 2 of them. So headlights. So Montoya heads up the pass. As he approaches, he realizes he, in fact, knows the man who is stuck on the summit of the Guanella Pass. He is 30-year-old Alan Lee Phillips, who is a miner in the mines where Montoya worked as a mechanic. So keep in mind, at small towns, the fire chiefs are pretty much exclusively voluntary. So
What did the little guy do for a living?
whom? Oh, like minor, like underage. That's really funny.
Wait, where's the sheriff gone?
He just told people.
San
He just
Francisco. He was on a flight. Do you think that he just like fucking got off the flight?
Yeah, no, he just
How did he tell
called in
people?
for help.
How did he tell people?
Even before
Is
the
he in
flight
San
to inform
Francisco?
the FAA.
Is
Then
he?
he went on to San
It's
Francisco.
the 80s. Did they have phones on planes?
They had radios, in fact, long before the 80s. Amelia Earhart, for example.
Sure did. Yep, they sure
Um,
did. You're 100% correct.
Leave Sheriff
Good.
Harry alone, Bo. He didn't do
No.
shit to no one.
He really
Mm.
didn't. He's a good old dude. Well, maybe. I mean, you know, small town, white sheriffs
That's true too.
may or may not have been a good dude.
May or may
I'm
not have
gonna assume he's a good dude, though.
stranded these pedestrians. Anyway, not pedestrians,
Yeah.
motorists.
Yeah, you know, it was him. The sheriff did it. Placed him on that summit himself. As Dave Montoya approaches the stranded pickup truck, Phillips gets out of the car, approaches him, and excitedly says, quote, "Oh God, I'm saved."
Oh no. I think the other one might be dead.
The other one.
There's only one motorist, Bo.
Just one
You made up this big. You made the
two
whole story.
headlights on one vehicle. One vehicle has two headlights. Let's check the math on that, Richard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you said there were two.
Two
Motorists.
headlights. That's why they assume it's a motorist, because there was two lights flashing, not one. So they assumed headlights. 1, 2.
Okay, wait.
Richard?
No, 100%. That
Thank you.
agreed. Sign says yes, 10 out of 10. But I want to know what story Bo made up, and then we can go to the real story, because Bo made up a whole story.
Richard, be cool, man. I'm making myself look really fucking stupid at the moment, dude.
It's okay. It's okay.
Rub it in. No, look, I got very confused. I thought there were two people. I don't know why. I think I got confused when I started talking about the sheriff and then Royal Doyle or whatever his name was, who was going up the summit.
Dave Montoya. But Royal Doyle is an amazing fucking name. Like, if I was a dude with a massive hog getting into porn, that'd be me.
Yeah, I got confused. Yeah, when I brought the sheriff back into it, I've confused myself with
The
Doyle.
sheriff is done. He's played his entire fucking role in the story, okay? He went to San Francisco and did his business.
He
And that
just
was
saw
that.
He saw the SOS. He's good. He just
I
called
really-
the FAA.
I'm really
Oh.
fucking sorry I'm being a handful in this one as well. I apologize.
No, it's
This is what happens when I don't take my afternoon meds.
my ADD's going crazy.
I've got a touch of the tisms, okay?
Okay.
Oh,
Prism with the tism, Bo.
Oh god.
Oh, fuck. Sorry. Yeah, okay. There's one one fucking motorist.
One.
There's one motorist in a car with two headlights,
Correct.
saved by Royal Doyle, and the sheriff is no longer. Lives in San Francisco, living his best gay life.
No, lives in Denver, just going to San Francisco on business. He was a sheriff of Jefferson County, who was not, in fact, abandoning his post, nor his job, nor his family.
For a gay life too. Like she just made him gay too. She just added.
That's
he's
the
gay
only
now.
reason to go to San Francisco. That's it, just to be gay.
And the clam chowder.
And the clam chowder. Okay. Celeste, we're taking a little side bet here. Bo, don't worry about this, but we're taking a little side bet. How many more times before the end of the episode is Sheriff Harry being brought up as a potential witness? I'm going with 3 more times.
Pretty much as soon as the raped and murdered women pop up, I'm sure it was suddenly Sheriff Harry.
Okay. So, okay. I go 3. You're going at least once. Okay, good.
Fuck. look, I hope Sheriff Jerry's living his best life, his best gay life over in San Francisco.
He's not, but I love that you hope that for him. Okay, goodness, this is off to a very slow start. Okay, so
Celeste's like, I want to go back to bed. Short,
Dave-
shiny.
Dave Montoya, not Royal Doyle, he's up the mountain. He's at the summit. He's found the pickup truck. Phillips has emerged from the pickup truck, and he's super fucking stoked. And he's, oh God, I'm saved. He's 30 years old. This man, this motorist. That's not really relevant, but just for context. Montoya picks him up. He gets in his vehicle, and he asks how Phillips had found himself in this predicament that evening, which was probably more likely worded, why the fuck would your dumbass drive drunk up a mountain in a snowstorm with no goddamn chains on your goddamn tires? Bo, do I need to explain to you the point of chains on tires?
No, we've covered that off in a previous episode. I understand the context and the danger that would possess to someone.
Fantastic.
To be honest, too. I mean,
right.
I probably would still do it, because I don't know, it's not in my everyday today, but I do understand it. You're like, who would drive all the way up there? And I was like, well, fucking me, because I wouldn't think to, it just wasn't a part of my life. I wouldn't have think to put chains on my car.
Okay. Well, in Colorado, you would typically.
Every winter, right?
If inclines are a concern for you, or a lot of highway driving in icy conditions.
Oh, so you don't, even
Not
if
here.
it just snows a little bit. Oh, okay. Cool. Good to know.
Okay, mountainous areas in particular, because there's a lot of That was me going up and down with my hands and making a noise. Montoya asks, Phillips explains that he was headed home to Clear Creek County from a night of drinking in Bailey, Colorado, and going over the pass just seemed like a good idea at the time, as I think.
Was he drunk? He was drunk, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was for sure intoxicated. Yep.
Silly man.
Which I guess was not illegal in 1982 in Colorado to drive drunk up a mountain or otherwise.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Yeah, because
When-
he didn't get in any shit for that at all.
Weird. I feel like, I guess that makes sense. Because, drinking and driving, I feel like it's been illegal for a long time, but maybe
Yes.
not. Maybe the 80s is when it did it. Someone some prominent person died. That's interesting. I would have never thought that. I would have thought
I thought it would
60s,
be like the
70s.
60s. Yeah. When did drinking and driving become illegal in
Oh my God.
Colorado? 1982.
This guy did it.
Doubtful, but what coincidence.
Doubtful. Yeah, 1982.
It was actually Sheriff Harry who did it.
And I mean, let's be honest. If it becomes
Oh!
illegal in no, it wasn't. Stop. Let's be honest. If it becomes illegal in 1982 in Denver, it's illegal in 1982. In small towns surrounding Denver, it becomes illegal in 1990. So yeah, in this completely, totally lucky fluke, Phillips manages to make it out of the dire situation basically unscathed. He did have one bruise on the side of his face, and when asked about it, Phillips said that when he got stuck, he exited the vehicle to try and walk to a nearby ski lodge, but he was quickly overwhelmed by the cold and no, the sheriff didn't hit him, Bo. Stop squinting. Became afraid that he would lose his truck completely in the conditions, which is a very fair concern. And so he ran back towards the vehicle, half blind from the snow, running face first into the cab of his truck on the way. Found it.
Oh, that's good. Boing.
So he, once he's back on sea level, he denies any medical treatment, saying that he needed to work in the morning and he just wanted to go home. Montoya advised him that when the weather improved, he would need to make arrangements to retrieve his vehicle from the summit, and he dropped Phillips off at home. And the following day, the story of the miracle rescue was all over the newspapers, and Alan Phillips was a local celebrity for about 5 minutes.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
There's your little feel-good story about a
Those
chap
felt
who had
good.
some good luck that night.
That did feel good.
Yeah. So let's get into a couple of not chaps that had really not good luck that night.
I
Oh,
would have said that Royal Doyle was the one who was the hero in that situation, but that's fine. That's fine.
literally
Royal
what
Doyle
she
was
just said.
doing his job.
No, she said Phillips.
Phillips was the guy that got stuck.
Yeah, she said Phillips was became a little 5 minutes of fame.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah,
he was
he
the one
did.
saved. But the guy went up there probably was
They
probably,
both had their 5 minutes of fame, but
that's what I mean. Yeah, he was.
you know, I'm sure
Yeah,
that's not the first time that Montoya's been a hero. He's a fire chief.
I would have expected like
Let
not
Phillips
the
have
person.
this. Hasn't
No,
he been through enough?
Phillips got stuck up there when he was drunk driving like a fucking idiot, unprepared. Doyle
It'd
should
still
be the
scare
one
you.
getting a medal. Anyway, keep going.
He didn't get a medal. He just got like some recognition on the front page of the goddamn paper. Bo, stop baiting me. You're doing this on purpose.
All right, I'll be a good girl.
Thank you. Okay. Unfortunately, Philip's brush with danger was quickly forgotten when the body of 29-year-old Barbara Jo Oberholtzer, who went by Bobbie Jo, was discovered 10 miles south of the ski resort town of Breckenridge, Colorado, at the summit of the Hoosier Pass. This is a different pass.
Who's your pass? Who's your daddy? Sorry. What was her name? Herkenjerk. Bobbie Jo. Bobbie Jo. What was her last name?
I
We're
feel
not
like the
helping. I'm gonna
wrong
no. Let's let her
lesbian-
finish that. Let's see where this goes. I'm not helping. Let's do this.
I feel like the
Herken,
wrong
Jerk, and
lesbian
Baba
is in the
Jo.
hospital right now.
No, it's Bobbie Jo.
One
I
has a
got that
tumor
one.
and the other one's having a stroke.
Porque lo nos dos. No, what was her last name?
Spanish for some reason. Oberholtzer.
Oh. Oberholtzer.
Ober.
I like how your Australian mouth won't let you do it. Oberholtzer.
It's like Australian mouth.
You had to add an L. There was no L to that Oberholtzer.
What? How do you,
It's
okay, how do you spell it?
Ober.
Ober.
Oh,
So try and
You-
do it, Aussie.
Ober.
Yeah,
No,
see, why
yeah.
did you do it that time?
Oberholtzer.
Yeah, because the way that-
Oberholtzer.
because the way that you say it sounds like there's an L.
Yeah,
Nope.
that might be true. I don't know, but it's Barbara Jo Oberholtzer. Okay?
Oberholtzer.
And I don't know if I ever say that name again. So let's just move on.
I don't know if I can say it again.
Well, the last name anyway. She goes by Bobbie Jo. Okay, so she's found 10 miles south of the ski resort town of Breckenridge, Colorado, at the summit of the Hoosier Pass. She was found at approximately 3 p.m. This is January 7th, 1982, the day after. Approximately 3 p.m. by her family, who were out searching for her after she didn't come home the previous night. Her husband said that he received a call from a rancher who told him that he'd found his wife's license on his property in Hoosier Pass. And on his way to the ranch, Jeff Oberholtzer, her husband, spotted Bobbie Jo's distinctive blue backpack abandoned on the side of Highway 285 towards Denver.
How old was she?
29.
Blue backpack seems a little bit gaudy.
1982.
Oh, okay. Oh no, yeah, you're right. Yep. Gotcha. They should have noticed her crimped hairline coming out of the top of the snow.
She'd been shot twice in the chest and left on her back on a snow embankment about 20 feet from the highway. She was fully clothed and had not been sexually assaulted.
Oh,
Her
thank God.
keys, which included a massive heavy hook keychain that her husband had made for her, her hat, and one glove were found discarded near the body, but none of her other belongings were on the immediate scene. One of her wrists had 2 zip ties around it, like bracelets. Not both, just one twice. That's 2, 1, 2. Okay, zip ties. But one person, not 2 people. Understood?
Yeah, but when you explain it like this, it makes me feel like there's something else going on. Like,
No,
when
I was
you-
just because you didn't understand the singular motorist. So I was just making sure this time you were clear on how many bodies to the ratio of zip ties there were.
I appreciate you, but when you choose to do that, now I think you're trying to trick me. Like you're like 2.
Wrong. I'm trying
One
to make you
body.
feel dumb.
Okay. Doesn't, just makes me more suspicious.
Okay.
I'm glad you clarified about one on one wrist though, not one then one, because then like it's obviously she hasn't done this. It's just 2 as bracelets.
2 on one wrist.
Yeah.
None on the other wrist. So yeah, the keychain, her keys, her hat, and one glove were found discarded near her body. None of her other belongings were on the immediate scene. The zip ties. And then in the backpack that Jeff had found, police discovered Bobbie Jo's other glove, which, no, the glove wasn't in the backpack. It was discarded where the backpack was, but it wasn't in the backpack. Bobbie Joe's other glove had a large blood stain on it. The blood stain's important. All right, Bobbie Joe worked in the town of Breckenridge, and I'm not sure exactly what her job was, but she had some kind of office job, and she'd recently been promoted from, actually, I think like that day, had been promoted from secretary to office manager.
Wait, is it a jealous co-worker? Did the sheriff want that job?
Yes,
One.
you got it. So she's recently been promoted from secretary to office manager. After work, she decides to go out with some of her colleagues for a few drinks to celebrate before she left to head home to Alma, where she lived with her husband. Now, reminder for people contextually, I don't know if young people listen to this. I don't know if young people listen to true crime. I don't know what young people do, except TikTok. It is 1982, and hitchhiking was a standard method of transportation for thousands of people, even young, pretty, hardworking, sensible blondes, especially in sleepy little South Park mountain towns. Okay?
Right.
So, it's not like nowadays where everybody who hitchhikes, well, almost everybody who hitchhikes is like a down on their luck, nobody cares if they go missing type of person. This was very standard at the time, which we all know, but again, young people. So Bobbie Joe was last seen heading south of Breckenridge to hitchhike home to Alma at about 7:50 p.m. Now, Bobbie Joe was not the only one who had bad luck hitchhiking that evening. 6 months later, on July 3rd, 1982, 21-year-old Annette Schee's body was found by a young boy looking for a fishing spot in Park County, Colorado, about 20 miles south of Breckenridge and 10 miles south of where Bobbie Joe was found. Annette was face down with a gunshot wound to the back. She was fully clothed, but her clothes were in evident disarray. Her body was too decomposed to be certain, but CBI investigator Agent Harkey believes that she had been sexually assaulted because her boots were on the wrong feet and the zipper on her jeans was broken. She was also only wearing one orange, they called it a bootie, which I think is just like a warm ankle sock from the pictures that I saw. But basically, she was only wearing one orange bootie over her long socks and under her boots. So one of the pair was missing.
So they attempted to hide what they've done, but not well.
They think she dressed herself.
Oh.
They think that either she dressed herself. So Annette worked two jobs, one at a Holiday Inn in Breckenridge and one in a tavern in the town of Blue River, which she lived just south of. She was last seen at a pharmacy in Breckenridge, where she stopped to pick up a prescription before she started hitchhiking, her standard mode of transportation, south of Breckenridge at about 4:45 p.m. Bobbie Joe was also hitchhiking south of Breckenridge. Annette had been reported missing on January 8th, after she hadn't shown up for work at the Holiday Inn for 2 days. So that puts the timeline of her disappearance at January 6th, the same night that Bobbie Joe died. All right. 2 months later, in September, investigators discovered a backpack belonging to Annette on the other side of the Hoosier Pass, where Bobbie Joe's body was discovered 6 months before. So this isn't her stuff. This is Annette's stuff. And I'm not exactly sure how this wasn't found in the initial crime scene search, but I guess because they weren't actually searching for a body or anything, and they had all her stuff in their possession, they must not have done a huge grid. The only item of note discovered in the backpack was a photo. Well, actually, I shouldn't say the only item. We'll get into one other one later. But the only item of note really at the time was a photo of a man who is still to this day unidentified.
The sheriff.
Oh, do we have the photo? Can I look?
Yeah. If I
I'll find it after. Sorry, I don't mean to derail. I just like that kind of stuff. I think that's fun, especially when they're unidentified like that. It's
Now, along with all the photos and stuff that you were talking about, there's also a map that has all of the locations that I can pull up for you guys or post in the group or whatever if you're unclear about locations and distances and stuff. But basically, it's just like there's like Bobbie Joe's body, Annette's backpack, Annette's body way down here, and then there's like a fork that goes up and over, and then there's Bobbie Joe's backpack and Bobbie Joe's license. Okay. It seems evident from the bodies and where stuff was probably just ditched that someone mobile was ditching evidence on the road. And it also seems pretty likely that these two murders are connected.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Do these two know each other? Do we know if they know each other, like as friends or anything?
They don't, but
Okay.
one thing about them is they are very similar in appearance. They are both
Yeah.
attractive young blondes with long hair. So yeah, seems pretty likely they're connected. But in case it didn't seem quite likely enough, or you think a twist is coming that, oh, they're not connected, they're completely separate, I will also mention that the twin to the lone orange booty discovered on Annette's body had also
Shut
been
up.
found 6 months earlier with Bobbie Jo's body.
Weird.
What
So
the
they were
fuck?
together. They were together at some point.
At
Or at
some
least this
point.
guy, well, that's even more fucked up. I'm assuming it's a
Yeah.
guy. Maybe it's a girl.
Well,
Ba-ba-ba.
they were together
Yeah, don't
or
be
they were
sexist.
at the same scene. But yes, they had discovered this weird orange booty that didn't make any sense with Bobbie Jo's body, which they had since gotten nowhere on. And then all of a sudden they come across this other body. And at the autopsy, the agent, who was the same agent on the other case, was like, hold the fuck up. I've seen this before.
Wait.
Yes.
They may not have actually been together, but what happens if like one was in the same room the day before and then you said that they got themselves dressed, is what they thought, and they just got themselves dressed and forgot the other booty, and then the other person was in the room and then they got it, the other booty.
It's evident from the scene and stuff that at no point were they ever in a room. The vehicle, however, if you consider the vehicle a room, is definitely possible.
Room on wheels.
So yeah, you're doing good. And so from this discovery of the booty and the similarities between the victims and where the shit was located, blah blah blah, police surmised that the two women had both been killed on the same night by the same person. Up until this point, police didn't really have any reason to suspect Bobbie Jo's husband Jeff was involved in the murder, but he was as much a suspect as any partner in a murder investigation is, which I think we all kind of understand is you're sort of suspect number one by default. Sorry. Statistics just kind of put you there.
Did the other person have a partner?
No, she
All
did
right, well,
not.
it's probably likely. If it's partner related, it's very likely to be.
Yeah, they're already, I mean, they have him on the radar, but they don't really have any reason to think he's really involved until they find one of his business cards among Annette's belongings.
Wait. Bobbie Jo's husband's business card in Schee's pocket.
Correct. Pocket or backpack. I think it was her coat pocket.
Ooh. Was
Mhm.
Mr. Oberholtzer or whatever his name was Mr. Bobbie Jo being a little bit naughty?
When they asked him about it, Jeff denied having ever even met her, which of course sends him right up the ranks on the suspect list.
Oh,
When
we're
he
not
was
believing him.
asked for an alibi, I mean, he'd been asked for an alibi before, but they'd just kind of been like, whatever. But when they asked him for the alibi, he said that he'd been with a friend on the night that the women were murdered. The police talked to the friend, and the friend said, yeah, they'd been together, but the times that the two men had supplied were different. So they didn't quite line up. So that just immediately knocks the alibi off the table. Whether they were
Nah.
together or not doesn't really matter.
Nah.
This is a
Nah.
red hair. This is they had the booty.
Oh, no.
They're just swapping pockets and fucking socks and shit. Like they're in the same back seat. I don't think this guy had anything to do with anything. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. So his alibi falls apart. He's coming under pressure. All of his friends are turning on him. Nobody wants to hang out with him anymore. He gets sad. Eventually, he does admit to the police
He
that
gets sad. Sorry, he gets sad.
Well, sadder. I mean, his wife is dead, so he's kind of sad about that to start with. But he's sadder now.
He's got more things to be sad about.
Yeah. So he does finally admit to police that he did lie about having never met Annette. He had picked her up once when she was hitchhiking, and he had
Provided a
given her
business card.
his business card, but
Yeah,
said
fuck
that they
off.
hadn't been in contact since. So
This
me.
is the sheriff all over again. This is
no,
fucking-
it sounds like Mr. Bobbie Jo just hit on her and probably went so far as to slip her
Honestly,
his digits. And he
My
didn't-
thoughts is he's driving and he sees this blonde lady in the distance, thinks it's his wife because she's always hitchhiking, picks this girl up, honestly, and then goes like,
Oh,
"Oh,
fuck.
cool. If you ever need a ride or a threesome, here's my card. See you later."
I don't know. I don't think they were that like similar enough that I think they were the same person. There's also 10 years. They're 10 years apart. So,
I guess
but
so.
anyway, yeah, like he slipped her his digits. Like he just, I think he just didn't want to expose that he probably is a huge cheater after his wife had been murdered. So that's why he lied. He was officially exonerated when they did have the capacity to test his DNA against the unknown male blood that was found on Bobbie Jo's glove, and it didn't match.
Which would have been like years later, right? Because like 82, I don't think they're doing too much DNA by then.
It was years later, but
That's
you're
kind of
right.
sad.
Jeff was a red herring. He had nothing to do with any of it. He was just,
Just some guy.
white guy in 1982. The case goes as cold as the Colorado mountains on that fateful night. In 1989, 7 years after the murder, Annette's family hires retired homicide detective Charlie McCormick to investigate the murders. Now, Charlie McCormick is already ass deep in this case. He'd been drawn to the case since the beginning. Some would say was obsessed with the case, and I would agree with that. He agreed to, after his retirement, he agreed to work as a private investigator on the case at a rate of $1 a year. So this dude was very obsessed with this case.
What's the point of doing that?
So you can get the insurance
Closure.
coverage. From a
Oh, you
business
mean for
perspective.
$1?
Yeah.
Because in his capacity, it has to be like a legal. You have to
Yeah.
hire him legally.
And then you can
Okay.
claim it. Then they can put him under his insurance if, like, from a business point of view, like their liability insurance. Well, I mean, that's what it would happen in Australia.
No, cool. I'm just curious. What's the point? There you go. By insurance purposes, which makes sense too, because he's a retired old man. He's probably like hurting from just being old, and something bad happens to him while he's
Yeah.
on the case. He probably doesn't need that happen.
Gets a dizzy spell, takes a fall, gets a little dementia touch.
It also gives him access to any resources as an investigator. He would get access to more resources than the typical.
Before he retired though, was he work on the case in Denver? Like, was he the guy? Is that how he was obsessed with this, or did you just hear about it through the grapevine being a detective?
No, he was not. He was not an investigator on the case.
Oh.
He'd already retired, but he'd just become obsessed with it.
I gotcha.
Oh.
Talking to, like old colleagues or whatever, it came up. And anyways, so he becomes involved with the district attorney task force on a voluntary basis. Now, I couldn't exactly figure out what the task force was for, if this was supposed to be for just like unsolved murders in general, or what it was, if it was about this case. I really have no idea. You'd think, 2 women killed by the same guy on the same night, that would shoot up some red flags that this perpetrator is probably killing other people. So maybe that's what the task force was about. I actually couldn't figure that out exactly. But he joins this task force on a voluntary basis, and he investigates leads all over the country and even internationally, trying to link Annette and Bobbie Jo to other unsolved murder victims and even serial killers.
That is a good way to get some like Qantas points. Like that's a good way to get some flying miles under your belt. Oh, I think there is a lead I need to follow in Hawaii. Trust me.
Hear me out, guys. Hear me out. It was a samurai. Now I'm going to Japan. I'll be back in 6 months.
Yeah.
Why?
I've got to investigate Berlin. I've always wanted to go.
I mean, if I could pull off my retirement on the district attorney's dime and travel, that'd be great. This, however, does not sound like a fun way to spend my retirement. I mean, getting obsessed with crime sounds fine, but the same crime? That sounds boring.
Yeah.
So McCormick works on these cases for the next almost 40 years.
Ew.
And he was already
That's horrible.
retired.
Yeah, exactly. That's horrible.
7
I
years
see
into
like-
this case. So no, he worked on the case for 30 years.
What is he, like Christie's age?
Because she's so old.
That's not nice. She's having a hard time, guys.
Old age will do that to you.
Be nice. He works for the family for 30 years. He investigates lead after lead after lead until finally in 2020, Charlie finally gets the break that he is for
Wait,
some reason
2020?
absolutely desperate for. Correct. Yeah.
Ew. Oh my God, that's so gross. Imagine working like your whole working life and then just doing 30 years after that, still working on the same fucking case.
Let me guess
Oh.
before you. Let me guess. They just test the DNA now of real DNA and they figure out who it is, or
Sort of.
I just because like that shit to me, if
Oh,
DNA becomes
would suck.
prevalent, why the fuck does it take like 30 years beyond DNA being useful for that to get tested? That's fucked up to me. Maury Povich does it in like a weekend and can tell you if you're the daddy or not. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck out of here. Focus your attention, Maury. Solve crimes instead of find baby daddies. Drive me nuts.
I feel like it's a numbers game, and there are a hell of a lot more unsolved crimes than there are people trying to figure out who their baby daddies are on Maury.
Baby daddies, wait till all solved crimes are done. Maury, now you are a true crime detective. This is what you do now. Fuck your baby daddies.
I don't know
Fucking-
if his lab is admissible in court.
It's admissible at the public opinion, and that's all I give a shit about. We'll get some
Yeah.
fucking traction behind this shit.
Richard,
literally, you could-
Richard,
Yeah.
Richard.
Even if it's not, and they say it is, like even if it's not accredited, and they go like, "You are the killer," and they're like, "No," and then they'll go and make sure it's accredited after.
I feel
Why does that sound like it'd be so good? That'd be the best show ever.
I just feel like potentially that could ruin some people's lives.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, but
guess
it
what?
ruined the people's lives that committed crimes. So
Or people
Unless
that
Didn't
like, people-
commit crimes.
Put it this way: if somebody came up to me and was like, "Bo is like suspicion for killing people, let's test her DNA," I'd be like, "It's never gonna pass." You know what I mean? But some guys are like, "Okay, let's get them on Maury because it's for sure gonna pass." Like, who cares? It's the person's a piece of shit. You already know they're a piece of shit, even if they're not the person who did it. They're a piece of shit somehow else. So
Yeah,
fucking ruin
fuck
those guys'
them.
lives. Yeah, fuck them.
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
All right, I'm
Making
back
a
on
hard
board.
stance. Maury,
Yeah.
you are the killer.
I like what you're saying. I'm on board.
Anyways, I don't
Yeah.
like that if it was DNA and it took like 30 years beyond DNA being useful, that's bad.
when's our next
Hmm.
election for prime minister? You should run.
I should run.
Joe Exotic
I'm not
style.
I'm not as sexy as Trudeau though. I wish. I can't beat that. Look at that.
Yeah, but your wife is hotter than his wife, and his wife is hot. Conscientious.
Conscientious objector. Right.
You have to vote in Australia, right? Or are you getting fined
Yeah,
or
yeah.
some shit?
You get it fined and your license taken off you.
Well, until they
seems-
start doing that here, not standing outside some sweaty fucking gymnasium and voting for somebody
You
who's
could-
gonna suck. Former district attorney Mitch Morrissey co-founded a company called United Data Connect, which uses technology called genetic genealogy. This
Mm.
technology uses DNA profiling and testing, in addition to traditional genealogical histories, to infer genetic relationships between individuals. In the field of forensics, it can be used to exonerate a suspect, to match a perpetrator to DNA evidence left at a crime scene, or to identify Jane or John Does using the DNA of family members. That summary sounds a little bit like what everybody knows DNA testing as, which is basically like you test this DNA against this DNA and it matches, boom, that's your guy. This isn't what that is. This is different.
Oh,
Yes, we talked
It's-
about this a
it's
lot in private
adjacent.
dicks. This
Well, this
happens
is
a
a
lot now.
private
To solve
dick, so
crimes.
we need to do it all over again. I'm sorry, Richard.
No, I'm just saying I completely understand genetic genealogy. It's
Perfect.
amazing.
You can tell me if
Basically,
I'm
like-
wrong, because I'm a dumb fuck.
Okay.
So, to try to put it in the simplest terms that I can, they will input the unknown DNA into a database which has all of the profiles of everyone who has either had their DNA collected, for example, a criminal, as well as anyone who has submitted their DNA voluntarily through tests, for example, like the 23andMe program. If they find a match that way, cool. That's over. You got your match. Neato. But most likely what will happen is they will get back a very, very long list of people who are related to that DNA profile, as well as a level of the relationship, which is first degree, second degree, third degree, etc. That's how far on their family tree away from them they are. Okay.
cool.
So
Well,
from there,
creepy.
they go through that list and determine the relations of those people and who can be exonerated from the pool. So, for example, we know it's not a woman, so we can leave out any female relations. We know that they had to be in Colorado at the time, so we can leave out any relations that were not in Colorado at the time,
Right.
et cetera, until they narrow it down to the most likely suspect, at which time they will then try and collect a direct DNA sample from that individual to match to whatever DNA they have on hand. Richard?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how they got what's his name? Or the rapist guy. I can't remember his fucking name right now. But they like got his pizza box because they figured they got a bunch of his aunts and uncles and cousins and whatever DNA, and they're like, this has got to be the guy. And then he just ate pizza, and they went and stole his pizza box, and then he was the guy. So they caught a lot
Oh,
of
they
people.
have to steal the DNA. They can't just go in and say, you're
They
the
don't have
closest.
to, but guilty people aren't really eager to give it up.
Especially if you're like the Golden State Killer or whatever. That's the guy I was
The
talking
Golden
about.
State Killer.
That guy killed like a bunch of people and raped a bunch of people. He's not going to be like, you know what? Take a swab. Like, and he was a cop too. That was the other thing. So they just caught him with pizza, and lots of people have been caught that way. I find it you're right. It is very scary. But like, if you're not committing crimes, it's always that old argument. If you're not doing anything, what's the scare about it? But like, imagine you just gave your 23andMe and like you found out your uncle's a fucking rapist for 30 years. Like that'd be
Yeah.
fucking. Like, that guy came to lunch. You know what I mean? That guy was
Yeah.
at my house a lot. Like that shit's scary in that
Yeah.
regard.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. But at the same time, I also like that if I was ever like a Jane Doe or whatever, that there is potential to identify me. So I mean,
Yeah, we did
people that
one
love me
in Private
closure.
Dick's called Dean and Tina Klaus, and
Mm,
they
Klaus.
joined a cult, I guess, and they just disappeared one day, and they were Jane Does, and then they used familial DNA to figure out who they were, and then later on they're like, oh, that's who these people were. Where's their baby? And there was no baby, and everyone's like, what the fuck? Where's the baby? And the baby was actually alive, 40 years
And they
old.
tracked her
didn't
down
know
and
her-
ruined her
Yeah.
life with
They
information
tracked
that
her
she
down, yeah.
didn't need to fucking know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they tracked her down and like that's some scary shit. You know what I mean? Like imagine you just found out like I was
Yeah.
adopted, my parents were murdered. I was actually taken by a cult. It's like I don't know. This genetic DNA thing's very it is the new
It's
thing.
slippery
It's
slope.
but yeah, I don't know. Like it brings up the whole like should I give my DNA to like a 23andMe? Because yes, you have to opt in to these databases and stuff like that. But about a month or two ago now, I heard that 23andMe got hacked. So now all your fucking DNA shit's out on the internet now.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows what's happening with it? You know what I mean? Like it's scary. The whole DNA thing is I can't do it. I want to, but I don't want to. You know, I'm in the middle of the whole thing. I haven't yet. I probably won't. But it's cool how they're solving crimes, but it's also scary how they're exposing uncles. Just really.
Well,
It is
maybe they
uncles
should
for
be
the most part, I'm
exposed
sure.
for-
Statistically. Yeah.
Yeah.
exposed for exposing themselves. So swings and roundabouts.
Well, it's not themselves being exposed, it's their nephews
Victims.
or nieces that are just like, cool, 23andMe, that then expose them.
Yeah.
They're like, for
Yeah.
fuck's sakes.
I do like how they're solving crimes and stuff. It's just like, I don't know, like it's a slippery slope to give that much DNA evidence to police officers, especially if people start catching on. Imagine there's like a fucking hooker killer or something, like a serial killer that's like a prostitute, and she just kept all her like bags of like condoms full of cum and just used that at crime scenes because she wanted to kill people. And then you just be like people started, some killer's going to catch on to DNA and use it in their advantage. I
Well,
can
now
feel
that
it.
you're talking about it, of course they are. Yeah, what the fuck? That's like putting out a video on YouTube of how to make a bomb. Like, you're going to be responsible for this coming before they're like a random condom. And this guy's like, I just fucked a prostitute. I paid $650 for that. And now I'm going to jail.
There,
I'm sorry, but I'm just
are-
saying.
to be fair, fucking a prostitute is illegal. Being one isn't. Fucking one is. So he should be in jail anyway. So
For murder, probably.
honestly, that's not even the only problem too with genealogy. Like, yeah, I mean, there's a vague slim chance you're going to be connected to whatever, or you're going to connect someone that you know to whatever. Far more likely, and what's far more common, is genealogy just fucking ruins lives. People are discovering long lost siblings and that their dad isn't really their dad, and like just all
That-
kinds of shit. through
That big ass thing
genealogy.
on. Did you watch that thing on Netflix where that guy, the fertility doctor, wasn't taking
That was
all the sperm?
impregnating all the women.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
hundreds.
yeah, I
like
did see
what the
that.
fuck, man? Oh my god, you're a psycho. That's so psycho.
My
Yeah.
man.
And this is exactly it. It's like they don't need to know. They don't need to know. You're ruining their lives with this information for no reason. They should have never known.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
Anyway,
yeah, it is. It's a slippery slope.
I do think it's cool though. Like they did identify a Gacy body with familial DNA 2 years ago, I think, because they had there's a couple unknown bodies. So like that kind of stuff does need to happen. So you can't stop progress, and I do like that it's happening. I just don't think that it's like thought about enough by legislators to like limit what's going into these programs because they're just so horny to fucking solve crimes. They're not thinking about like what could happen otherwise. Like just somebody having your DNA profile is just scary in itself, right? So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think there's enough like legislation behind this stuff to make it cool. We're solving crimes, but like, what's the aftermath in like 10 years when someone figures out something else to do with DNA, and then we're like, there's little mini Richards running around because they wanted to make clones of me because I'm so awesome, you know?
I don't know
Well,
about that. As it is,
But
the process, no, I mean just like how fast we'll get there. But the process right now as it stands, even in the 2020s, is very intensive, very time consuming, and very fucking expensive. So, I mean, this isn't just like willy-nilly you submit your DNA. It's going to like now all of a sudden your uncle's going to prison. It's not like that. The genealogy process takes such a long time. It is completely hands-on. The computer can't do it independently because all of these factors, the factors that a computer can't track, have to be investigated. In this case, the original list populated from the DNA found on the glove. Guess, how many names do you think were on that list?
25,000.
2,735.
What was the closest without going over? It was 12,000 names. And the computer can't go through all those names by themselves. Sure, the computer can reject women or whatever, but they have to individually go through 12,000 names. It's
For sure.
It is
Needle in a
it's
haystack,
really
but there's still at least a haystack and a needle now. You know, before it was like needle in a fucking space void. You know, like
Before it was a cow and a moon.
yeah. I mean, like it's what's the word? I think it's exaggerated, really, what the potential is if you submit your DNA to this thing, unless there is something very, very serious or a specific reason for your DNA to be explored. Chances are nothing's going to happen with it. Far more likely, you're going to find out that like your dad isn't your real dad or something like that. So I still wouldn't recommend doing this stuff. It just isn't that worth it to know that your 18th cousin twice removed from the Queen of England. But some people get really hard for that shit. I don't know.
yeah, I have interest just because I find the percentage of like where you're from, like that part of it's interesting to me because I find that crazy how they can figure that out by like
Because I have terrible parents, I know exactly zero about any of my lineages outside of my grandfather. So I'd like to know shit like that, but that means I'd have to talk to them. So
Doesn't change anything. I don't know. I will never do it. I don't get it. I don't really see the point. What does it change to know things?
I think that's called learning.
I feel like there's so much that I probably don't know that if I did know would make things worse. And I think that's true for a lot of people. I don't think there's anything that I don't know that if I did know would make things better.
To do with family, you mean? Yeah, like in genealogy.
I don't, just in general. I don't know.
Sheriff fucking Harry DNA came up.
Yeah, he did
fucking
it.
Killed
You fucking
everyone.
got me.
We got her.
I fucking told you guys, and you laughed at me. You fucking laughed at me this whole goddamn time. I saw it coming.
Quick question. How the fuck do you think he managed to murder these women while he was on the plane?
Poison.
They were raped and shot, both of them.
With poison.
No, with bullets.
Shot with poison.
Fine, it's not Sheriff Harry. Fine, let's hear who it is.
No, I can get it there. I can get it there. Give me a minute. You keep going. I'll get it there.
Okay, I'll do that. All right, so like I said, 12,000 names they went through. It took over a year for them to work through the family tree until finally they were left with two names, Bruce and Alan Phillips.
Oh, of course it's Alan Phillips. He's up in the
Holy
fucking
shit!
mountains the same day. It's obviously him. Stupid rapist.
Stupid fucking rapist, and he was drunk. Wait, I told you there was another passenger. I told you there was another passenger. Where
There
did he
wasn't.
come from? Where did Brian come from?
It's
What
just
was his
another
name?
name. It's just another
Bruce.
name on the list of people for
Oh,
the
Brian?
genetic genealogy. Yeah.
Okay,
It's-
all right. I'm back. All
Yeah.
right, keep going.
They were left with two names.
Two names, one person. It's a lot of 2 to 1 in this. It's just two names, but it's actually
Two
only one
names.
rapist.
One list.
One rapist.
One
One
rapist.
killer.
Yeah. Bruce and Alan Phillips. Of course, I knew Richard would see this coming from a mile away. I'm sure most of the listeners did too. Bo, thank you for at least faking that you were surprised by that.
Yep, that's what I was doing.
All right. So,
Our little rat turd's getting it. She's getting more and more smart every time.
McCormick was able to very quickly prove that Bruce Phillips had never even lived in Colorado, leaving him with Alan Phillips.
Sorry, maybe you're going to talk about this. Like, how do they not catch on that this was the guy the day after they found bodies and the fucking guy SOSing in the mountains? Did they just go like, oh,
Didn't you
he's
say Didn't you say that Royal Doyle was friends with Alan Phillips?
Mhm.
So they
he
just
would-
didn't connect it. They just went, "Oh, I know that guy's good." That's so they just went off of like reputation alone and didn't just like two weird things happen on the same mountain the same night. Can't be connected. There's no way. They didn't even come close to even thinking that, or they just let him go. I'm just curious because like that's the first
Montoya
person I
said that
would've
he
went for.
did think about that after the bodies were
Okay.
discovered, but he first
His
of all,
integrity as a detective is terrible.
He's a fire chief.
yeah, that's one thing.
sorry.
First of all, his
Terrible
behavior,
integrity for a detective.
his behavior,
because he's
he
not.
was, I mean, he was acting pretty much exactly as he would have expected. He wasn't bleeding, and they know that whoever was involved did bleed, and there was no like signs of a struggle or anything like that. So, and also the biggest factor is, yeah, he knew him.
Huh. That's man, oh man.
Detectives these days, you can't trust them for anything.
I
Not
just
a detective,
like-
for goodness
Chiefs.
sake.
He's a
Thank
fire
God we've got
chief.
fire chiefs out there.
He's
doing-
a
doing the Lord's
voluntary
work.
fire chief.
Anyways, that's the first person who I would ask. That's why I'm curious. Like, maybe he had some sort of good alibi, or he's just up on the fucking mountain. So I guess it's not even really an alibi. Like, what the fuck would be the thing just because they knew him? Okay, classic fucking. Not a shock. Actually, I'm saying like, oh my god,
be-
this is fucking
to
bad,
be
but
fair,
I'm not shocked. Which
I
is sad.
I feel like I didn't quite make this clear before. Hoosier Pass and where he was, Guanella Pass.
Yeah,
They are different passes.
I get that, but I mean,
Where
it's the
he
same
was-
area.
No, it was almost 2 hours away.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. Well, that changes it then. I thought it was closer than that. Yes.
Yeah, no, it was about an hour and 50 minutes away
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. All
from
right.
where the bodies
Maybe
were
I'll stop
discovered.
hating on the detective.
Shit, maybe I should edit this so that I mentioned this earlier.
No, that's
So my
funnier this
twist
way.
is better.
It's funnier this way because now the twist is what miles away. You know, it's
Yeah.
miles away from where it should be, just like the murder.
Well-
Does that was good? No, all right.
I liked
I'm
it.
helping. I'm helping.
I liked it.
I actually
like
didn't even catch on that it was wordplay. I'm tired. So they were left with the name Alan Phillips, who still lived in the area, who worked in the mines in the area for decades, who had his own little mechanic shop in the area, and who can easily be placed near both crime scenes on the night in question. Well, near-ish. From the front page of the newspaper on January 7th, 1982. Piecing together the movements of Bobbie, Joe, Annette, and Phillips that night, police believe that Phillips picked up Annette first, sometime around 4:45 when she left the pharmacy, took her to the isolated area in Park County, and assaulted her before either forcing her or letting her get dressed, and then he shot her in the back as she ran down the embankment. I
Oh,
assume in an escape attempt.
that's a dick move.
This is their guess of what happened, or he never said what happened. I'm just sorry. This is their guess. Okay, keep going.
He didn't say a whole lot.
Okay, cool. Cool. I was wondering if this is what he said or if this is what they think.
Was he dead?
They think is what it is. No, he's
Well,
alive.
he's
Oh.
alive, yeah. So, after this murder, he immediately goes hunting again. And this time, in the exact same spot, he finds Bobbie Joe hitchhiking at 7:50 p.m. But this time, Phillips tries to restrain her. So maybe that's because Annette tried to escape and that's how she ended up shot in the back. I don't know. But this time he tries to restrain Bobbie Joe. Now, how he fucked this up so badly, I don't know. I think he probably was
Zip
just
ties.
too drunk because he just ended up putting 2 zip ties on one wrist, like bracelets.
What
He
a
didn't zip tie
fucking
her to
idiot.
anything. He didn't zip tie her wrists together. He just put 2 zip ties on her wrist.
What a fucking
Wait.
dickhead.
Wait, can we just 1 second? Sorry, I get what, like, yes, that's fucking drunk. So obviously he's hammered at 7:15. So he's hammered this whole time, like when they pick up the first girl too.
I assume he's
Annette?
drinking the entire time because he was very intoxicated when they found him.
This is so weird. Okay, tell me the rest, and then I got comments. But this is such a weird case in that respect, because like nobody just keep going. I'll talk. Just tell me what they think, and then I got thoughts.
All right. So, however, he does this. He ends up putting the 2 zip ties on one wrist. I think that she noticed that he was fucking this up really badly because he was, I think, so drunk, and she assumed that he was out of it enough that she could get away. So Bobbie Joe either ran for it or fought back, and at some point she hit Phillips in the face with that big hook-shaped keychain that I mentioned that her husband made her. And that's how he ends up with the bruise that Dave Montoya saw on his face that night. So
Okay.
as she tries to flee the vehicle, either as she tries to flee the vehicle or he leaves it there. Police think that she dragged Annette's orange booty, which had been left in the vehicle, out with her before Phillips shot her twice in the chest and killed her. Okay, so as the night progresses, the weather worsens. He's trying to make his way back home from this isolated area where he's taken Bobbie Jo, but he's also trying to make his way back home in a way that he doesn't want to be spotted. He doesn't want to be linked to the area.
The V.
So he takes this extremely long path that takes him 2 hours away and up the pass where he ended up getting stuck. Okay. And he comes very close, but unfortunately not close enough to being the third victim of that brutal night until his miraculous rescue. Of all people.
So technically, the sheriff did fuck it up, because if the sheriff hadn't have seen the SOS, then he wouldn't have ended up going down and getting that guy saved, and he would be the third victim.
Yeah, no, you're right. The sheriff is the villain in this story.
What do we learn? Never answer an SOS. Okay.
It could be a murderer.
Yeah, this one is so weird. What is it? Kate, do we know more about this guy now? Like after they found out it was him, how old was he? Like 90?
He was 70.
70?
I do have more.
Yeah, okay, good. Cool.
So in early January of 2021, Alan Phillips was put under surveillance by the CBI, the FBI, the Clear Creek Sheriff's Office, and the Park County Sheriff's Office.
Jesus, that's a lot of people hiding in bushes.
I reckon. On February 20th, officials followed Phillips through a Sonic drive-thru and to a Dumont post office. So while in the post office, Phillips discards his Sonic fast food bag and shit, which was then retrieved by the police, and a paper napkin was DNA tested against the blood on Bobbie Jo's glove, and it was a match. Now, I am unclear, as I mentioned, as Dave Montoya was, on exactly where the blood came from, because he wasn't bleeding when he was picked up by Montoya. I think that he probably had a nosebleed. I think that when she hit him, she gave him a nosebleed, and then he probably would have bled on his shirt or jacket or whatever, but he changed it in the vehicle before he got into the vehicle with Montoya. Remember, the truck was never investigated. It was long gone by the time they figured out who he was, and
For sure.
they never even saw it because they didn't help him get the truck down. They just told him he had to go retrieve it the next day.
Did at no point like he get he refused medical treatment. Never mind. Yeah.
And you said the first girl was not sexually assaulted, the second girl was?
The first girl was sexually assaulted. The second was not.
He couldn't
And
blow
the
twice
blood-
that soon.
The blood was on
He
the second
absolutely
girl
could, yeah.
or the
No,
first
that's
girl?
why he did it. The blood was on the second girl's glove, Bobbie Jo's glove, the one that hit him.
Maybe she bit his dick. Maybe he was taking his dick out and she like took a bite out of it and he's like, "You fucking bitch." I'm just saying, like, there's places you can bleed that people won't see, and especially if you're a sexual assaulter, why wouldn't you fuck the second one if you did the first one? Maybe she just bit his cock.
Potentially.
Has his cock ever been investigated?
Did they put the
No.
CBI on his dick?
No.
Is someone following his dick?
No, that did not happen, but they don't think that it ever progressed to that point. They think that she very
The
quickly
punch
tried
was enough.
to escape and was just shot and killed. They don't think that he got anywhere with her that he wanted to go. It doesn't really matter. He
Where the
bled
blood came
somehow.
from? No, it doesn't, but just funny things that could happen.
Okay,
If
so
he had a blood nose, like if he had that bruise and he had a blood nose, and after the crash, if they had found that they probably still wouldn't have even put it together. Maybe they might have put it together if they could see
Obviously
he had
not.
a blood nose.
Like, obviously not.
no,
like-
I don't think they ever even considered him a suspect. Like I said, because of how far away he was, and also because they knew him.
Even
So-
after the V.
I don't know what the V is that you're talking about.
When you were explaining when the things were dropped down one path and then back up the other one, like the evidence was.
Where you're saying where she was found,
Amazing.
the girl's bag was found,
Isn't
the
that what you
license was
Just
found.
the information that you retain and don't retain is very amazing to me. Like, I mean, you
ADHD.
remember the map that I described to you, but you don't remember that he's not named Royal Doyle, for example.
ADHD.
So interesting. Okay. He is arrested on February 24th, 2021 during a routine traffic stop. At the traffic stop, they tell him that he is under arrest and he's being charged with 2 counts of first-degree kidnapping, 2 counts of first-degree assault, and 2 counts of first-degree murder. And they said he didn't really react at all. No protestations, he didn't act surprised, just fuck.
He's probably been waiting for it for 40 years,
The shoe
honestly.
finally just dropped and yep.
Wow, because I'd be like, what the fuck? Oh yeah.
No, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, fuck, I forgot. Sorry, I've just lived the last 50 years of my life and I've been fine. Yeah.
Yep. After nearly 40 years, at 70 years old, his past finally catches up with him.
Yeah, and that's why you can't take it away from genetic genealogy. Like, you got that guy, and does it really matter that you got him now that he's 7 years old? Not really, but yes to the family. They need to know who did this. It's nice that way, but does it change anything? I don't really think so.
Unless he's killed and murdered multiple
Well,
people.
that's where my
since
question
then.
is. That's why this shit's fucked up to me, because you don't just rape and kill 2 chicks in one night on a whim. I've never heard of someone going like, you know what, I'm drunk, I'm gonna kill 2 people tonight. Raping, yes, murdering one, sure, but then finding another one, going out for a second one, that's some fucking crazy. This guy is a crazy guy. Like, he must have done something else. Or did they find anything else with his DNA after? Like, does he connect it to anything? Like, I feel like that's
In the 3 decades since the murders, Phillips had never left Colorado. He got married, he had 3 children, got divorced, started a small business, and seemingly never committed another crime.
I don't know.
But
Maybe.
the
Oh.
sheriff of Park County did say in no uncertain terms that he found it extremely unlikely that he never committed another violent crime. And he encourages anyone who has any information about anything related to him to call the anonymous tip line.
My man.
I'm not sure what the point of that would be. Closure, I guess, for any unsolved crimes. Phillips was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences on November 7th, 2022. And those sentences came to an end on February 27th, 2023, when he died by suicide at the Arkansas Valley Correctional
Come
Facility.
on. As if they let people die like that. Don't let them fucking commit suicide. You guys are fucked. It's a prison. It's not that. He's a 70-year-old man. Come on.
Maybe that's why they thought that he wasn't that much of a risk to himself.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. Like, don't let this guy die. I'm really curious as to what this guy did other shit, man. I'm convinced, because I'm not joking. That is fucking scary. What that guy did in that night is not what a raged out alcoholic does. That is like psycho shit. That is.
Do you think?
Okay,
Do you
so-
think him almost getting caught scared him into never doing it again?
I have
No.
thought about this. And my theory, I know it's irrelevant, but this is my theory, and I spent a lot of time thinking about it. I know this seems like it shouldn't be relevant, but I feel like it is. And I encourage you to fact check me on this. Annette Schee was stunningly beautiful. Not just pretty, an absolute fucking dime. I will give you guys a second to confirm that, because
They're both hot. I'm looking at them right now.
they are both hot.
But you're right.
Annette
If
Schee is unreal hot.
is the Billy
The
Joe
one with the Farrah
with like
Fawcett
red hair?
hair.
Does red hair is that one Billy Joe, and then the other one's Schnee?
The Farrah Fawcett hair with the back whoop things, though, that's Schee.
Yeah, she's definitely
She's
super hot. Yeah.
unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah.
Bobbie
She was
Joe
making her tips
also
at the bar.
a beautiful woman. Annette Schee was double take, people notice hot.
For
Okay.
sure.
And I think that he is drunk, he's horny, and he has predator tendencies. He had this stunningly beautiful woman in his car, one who we've established has great customer service skills. So she was probably very nice, very pleasant. He assumes that meant she wanted to fuck him. And when she politely rejected him, he rapes her, gets scared, and then kills her because he doesn't know what else to do. once he's done it, he's kind of like, what were you trying to show us?
The
Oh no,
picture.
it had a map, and I was like, oh, it is a V.
Ah, yes, it is. Once he's done it, he's kind of like, fuck it. Broke the seal on rape and murder, I guess. That's a thing that I do now. So he turns around and goes to head home, and lo and behold, there's this other pretty blonde in the exact same spot. He found it, guys. The gorgeous blondes that are willing to get into my car's spawn point. Okay? So this time it doesn't really go as well, but not a big deal. That's what the spawn point is for. Except, the devs found out he's using this glitch to cheat. They don't like that, so they trap him on the summit of a mountain in a blizzard, like they're removing the ladder from the pool in The Sims. So he swears, okay, I'm never going to do it again. Just put the ladder back, please, for the love of God. And then he never does it again because he knows by all rights that he should have froze to death up there, and he's scared of God.
Yeah, maybe. I that's a lot to start off with and to never go back to.
I don't think anyone else has ever been in a situation where on the same night they took life and faced death. I think that might be enough to scare a psychopath straight.
Yeah,
Everybody and more.
I've only ever experienced them in different days, so I'm not really sure.
I've never experienced either.
Yeah, I like the theory. I wish they could have talked to him. That's all. I wish they could have gotten like sit down with some profilers and like gotten some idea of what he was thinking and why he did this. Because he's caught dead, right? He never said shit in trial or anything. He just kept his mouth shut the whole time.
Yeah, he couldn't talk about it while he's facing trial, obviously. And then he was only in prison 6 months before he kills himself. And obviously, I think just based on the fact that he killed himself, he had no interest in the notoriety of being a killer.
No, well, that's true.
He was going to be out by the November of the following year. Didn't you say his time was going to be up in 2023? Like his kid.
No. He was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences. He was.
Oh no, you said his time was up. Yes, because he killed himself.
Oh yeah, he killed himself 6 months later. Yeah. So I mean,
sorry.
He didn't relish the attention. I can only assume those 6 months were hell. Probably not enough hell to make up for the 40 years of hell that he deserved and didn't get. But
I feel like this guy, like, oh my God, like he did something, or he couldn't have not done anything else. He would have been rattled with guilt. If what you're saying is true, he would have had 40 years of guilt. He would have told his wife or something, somebody in a drunken state. Obviously, he's not fucking. Like, I don't know. I think this guy must have done something. Honestly,
they have his DNA, and it has never been linked to another cold case.
That's crazy. It's just crazy. If that's what happened, that's crazy to me. That is the craziest. Like you hear about, we listen enough true crime where you hear about somebody snapping, killing someone, and then they just like their life devolves into either they get caught or someone goes into hiding. This guy just got a normal life and just kept going, and he did too. Which is
Celeste actually probably on the right path, to be honest, because like say for example, you like there's a certain inherent level of, if I've murdered people and I'm looking to murder people and that is exactly what I want to do, and that is like I'm not sending out SOS, right? Like I'm not sending out SOS if I've just left a trail of evidence up and down mountains. It suggests that he was either stupid or he was either that afraid of death that he didn't care about getting caught, and he just managed not to get caught. So he's just going to keep his fucking mouth shut for the rest of his life.
If you're not like psycho, in my opinion, I could be wrong. Like I'm just thinking, if you're not like
it's bold of you to assume I'm not.
But I'm just saying, like you think about this. This doesn't go away just because you didn't get caught. It's around you all the time. You can't, I don't know. I don't think you can have like a normal life. Maybe that's why you got divorced, but like I don't think you can have a girlfriend after that. How you not just like,
well, he could have, because there's always going to be the fear of being caught. He could have, and he didn't show any signs of being shocked. He could have kept that in I don't know a better way to say this. He could have kept that in the wank bank for his whole life because there's always the danger of getting caught.
Yes, I guess you're right. I feel like things escalate, and it's not just
Oh, it doesn't
murder
make
or
any
whatever.
sense. He's
There's-
definitely against the norm.
if especially if you're keeping it to jack off too, like that's what you're saying, or like it's some sort of dark fantasy as you're gonna want to recreate that eventually if that's what you're using it for.
Maybe he
If-
did in Sims. Maybe he did in World of Warcraft.
Maybe it's just not that would like okay, but that wouldn't be the same. But yeah, you could. It wouldn't be close to the same. The feeling, getting hammered. Maybe I don't know. Maybe somebody should talk to his wife. I'm interested in this guy. This guy's such a weird case that I've
Weird.
never heard before. I've never heard someone like
Just
yes, I've heard someone
randomly
accidentally killing
escalating.
someone because of raping or whatever, and then hiding that for years and years. One person just going on for the second one that night. It is really odd. It's really, really odd. It's
Surely it can't be the first. When did Phillips move to Colorado?
well, like, I don't know if we know all that, but
No, I'm not sure about that. I almost wonder if this was a fantasy because he was 30. He was fairly young. I feel like you're still figuring yourself out sexually at that age. I wonder if this was a fantasy that he was playing out, and when he finally decided to take the plunge, it was underwhelming. And maybe he was like, okay, let's try that again. Maybe that was just that situation was underwhelming. There was something missing. I'm going to try this again. Because if you remember what was it? It was the Halloween episode that we did. The original teen slasher that all the teen slasher movies are based on. Why can't I remember? The Gainesville Ripper.
Oh.
If you remember that guy, he was committing his murders multiple a night. He was like, he'd go do one, and then like 2 hours later, he's like, I gotta go do another one. And he was obviously like, he escalated and shit like that. But
yeah, that's normal serial killer behavior. That guy, what he was doing,
not.
makes
Serial killers have a cooldown period. Always.
not all of them. A lot of guys they'll kill and kill and kill until they get caught because they just want to keep killing. There are guys that go like, oh, I better cool off a bit, and then they can't resist themselves and just keep going. But like that's normal. What you're saying, that guy is killing and he's not going to stop killing. That's what he knows he loves. This guy here just stopped for 40. That's what fucks me up is he killed two, killing one and an accident, hiding it for the rest of your life, kind of being a fucking grumpy asshole for the rest of your life because that's all you think about. Cool. It's the second one that fucks me up. I don't understand it. Why would you go for round two? You just killed someone.
Could it also, though, to like Celeste's point as well, like the first one was underwhelming. Second one went for it again, but then when she punched him, like he's like, oh, no.
No, for sure.
I think it was the getting stuck and facing death thing that made him decide no.
I agree with both of you guys. I'm just saying, like, it's super interesting, and I wish they would talk to this guy. I find this like very fascinating.
Have any other people been spoken to from like his family or his wife or his kids? Like, what happened when he's
let's call his wife, his ex-wife.
None of them are on record or anything. Nobody's talking about this. Nobody wants to be involved in any of this sensationalism. They all seem like very sensible people.
Like, imagine Christy or whoever has an ex-wife or ex-husband just found out there was he used to killed two people like 30 years ago. Would you go and talk about that or just fucking hide? I would hide. Fuck that.
We'd never know because he has pigs.
He does. And we would never know because he wouldn't need to worry about being caught out because he has pigs.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Unethical Podcast. If you're not in the Facebook group, stop being such a silly goose and come find us at Unethicult, the official Unethical podcast group. If you find you just can't handle the anticipation until the next episode, then it's a great time to join our Patreon, where we have a ton of extra unethical content, and of course, our brother podcast, Private Dicks. And in case you didn't hear the good news, Private Dicks is now Public Dicks. Every 2 weeks, an episode of Season 1 will drop wherever you eat your podcasts, and our lucky Patreon patrons are literally living in the future, listening to new episodes from Season 2. On the fence about it? Have a listen to the trailer and see what you think. If you've got a case, big or small, give the Private Dicks a call. And yes, the phone number is real. Enjoy!
Have you got a mystery that needs solving?
Where is Amelia Earhart?
We know.
Who the hell was DB Cooper?
Ah, easy.
Bermuda Triangle?
Probably solve that one next.
Here at Private Dicks, we guarantee a mystery solved every episode.
That's with a capital G.
Every second Friday, the Private Dicks take a client, record their session, and solve the world's greatest mysteries.
One by one.
Private Dicks solve them, no problem. God, I love just crushing mysteries. Search up Private Dicks on your favorite podcatcher and you can solve a mystery too.
The mystery of what's your favorite podcast?
It's Private Dicks. Another one solved.
If you have a mystery to be solved, call 1-855-PRVT-DIX. That's 1-855-PRIVATE-DICKS.
Call 1-855-Private-Dicks and leave us the rundown of the case. Maybe the Dicks will solve it.
855 Private Dicks. Because I'm straight when it comes to humans, but fucking gay from old people.